Hey friends, are you unsure of what to say on social media or what to even send in your weekly emails? Well, what if creating content could be easy? Would you be looking for a shortcut to creating consistent content? Yes, consistent content, because you know consistency is key. Well, let me tell you, you are not alone when you feel like you're struggling on what to post or what to write in emails. And we know that you have that product part of your business down. But as you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know that to get more people to your products, to buy your products, you need to create great content. Oh, I know. I keep saying content, and that's the dreaded C word. And we can't tell you how many product bosses tell us that they want to create great content for their audience and their customers, but they don't know what to say, or they are so busy they can't find the time, or they really, really, really don't want to be the face of their brand. Well, no worries, because that's exactly why we created a year of content. It is your shortcut to creating consistent content that resonates with your audience and brings more loyal customers who can't wait to buy your products. If you want to see how easy this is and how easy it is to create content for your audience and your customers, head to www.ayearofcontent.com.
Welcome to the Product Boss Podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Mina Kunlo-Sitep, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline Snyder, with my really, really cool co-host, Mina Kunlo-Sitep.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. And why are we so cool? Because we're recording this together.
I know. Here we are again, back at you, not on a different trip, if you've listened to the previous episode.
We are batch recording together, which we try and do, and we teach you all about batching. And so we're getting a few podcast episodes knocked out.
Yep. Well, we're inspired and together and ready to deliver you some in-person goodness.
Yeah, amazing. So, we've been talking a lot about the needs of our community, of our students, and where they're at. And while we have our small mini courses and we have Multi-Stream Machine, which helps product-based business owners from startups all the way through, we have multi-million-dollar businesses in there. And then we have our masterminds, which we've just signed up a whole bunch of new masterminders. And that is for businesses $250,000 to multiple millions. But we know that there's a lot of you out there that are in the growth stage and you're looking for more support. So as we're sort of brainstorming all the support we're going to bring you this year, we really started digging into what we're calling the fast track formula and understanding the 4 phases of a growing product-based business.
Yeah. So I think that this is really for people that are maybe not on the struggle bus, raise your hand if this is you, where you feel like you're growing so fast, your wheels might be falling off, or that you are really, maybe feeling like you might be the bottleneck of your business. Right?
Yeah. But also I think if you've started making money as a business owner, so you started selling, maybe you sell a couple $1,000s a month, maybe
your product is validated for sure.
Yeah. Like, that people are buying what you sell, right? Maybe you're a $24,000 business, maybe you're a $50,000 a year business, maybe you're $80,000, you all want to get to $100,000. That's a level of business that you've got a product that you're starting to sell. And a lot of you might already be students of Multi-Stream Machine. And then there's also those of you that have hit that 6 figures, right? That coveted $100,000 and you are still growing. And that I think is where you're probably the bottleneck.
Yeah. You start to become the bottleneck, So I think that for both of those, because you're growing and you're, like you said, starting to sell, and then you start to sell and sell and sell and sell. And then that's the growing part,
Yeah.
And what do you need at that time when your product is selling and your customers are coming for it, and whether it's $10,000 a year or 20 or whatever it is, that I've got something here,
right? And we've seen this, and I think a lot of our Multi-Stream Machine students are ideal in this realm where like Race Ready Obstacles, and they shared that before multi-stream machine, they were making $44,000 in a year. And then by implementing just a few things in MSM, they got to $88,000.
Yeah.
So they doubled. Now, what do you do when you start to double your revenue, right? What do you do when you're like, okay, I've started figuring out my business and it's growing? And a lot of people are like, I want to hit 100,000. And then a lot of people hit 100,000. And what got you to 100,000 and then what's going to get you from 100,000 to multiple six figures, like 200,000, it's different, right? You're constantly leveling up as a business owner. You're constantly looking for what's next. And let me tell you all, it's more than just selling more, right? It's more than just making more products and selling more, making more products and selling more, because there's so many other things that are happening in a business that have to change and grow. And there's different phases. And, we really broke it down this week and figuring out.
Yeah, it's different, but the same, right? Because I think that we're going to share with you the 4 phases, but your approach is a little bit different, right? You know that you're starting to sell, but like you said, what got you to the selling point was like given the example of Dana at Race Ready Obstacles, right? She was starting to sell, and then she went through multi-stream machine, and she was starting to really cue into what the customers wanted from her.
Right.
So again, we started digging more into that, and we realized there's actually 4 phases that you can run, like a filter to run your business through, and to be like, okay, here's what I need to do. And that's whether or not you're at whatever revenue level, but it's when it's after that doubling that you're like, I'm on to something here. Now what?
Right. Like Rachel Dunn Jewelry, for example, she's famous around here. And she, before MSM was making a few $1,000s. She joined a multi-stream machine and she hit like her first $50,000 or $60,000 in a year. And now this year she's on track to hit 80,000, even 100,000, right? So if you've only hit a few $1,000s, like we really suggest multi-stream machine is right for you. But if you, whether or not you're a student or not, but you have been seeing this growth in your business, right? Like month over month, you're seeing yourself grow. Like I remember, baby Annika of Hey Mavens, where she started with us and she was making a couple $1,000s a month. She went into MSM and she started making $10,000, $11,000 a month. And it's like you grow all of a sudden, and what do you do? Or maybe you're not a student of ours yet, but you are in this growth phase and you want to get to $100,000 or you want to get to $200,000 or $250,000. What do you do? So we really realized that there's this fast track formula. We broke down all of these different students that we've worked with, because remember, we've had over 50,000 students come through our courses. And we said, what do they need at these levels, right? More than just sales, more than just more of the more. And so we're going to break it down for you now.
Yeah. So I think phase 1 that I think that when you come in and you're like, oh, I'm growing, I've got something here, is you have to really refine what you've got. So it's like no matter what stage you're at, what revenue level, whether it's 24,000, 50,000, like we said, you're like, I've got something here. Now I have to dig through the weeds to decipher what it is.
Yeah.
So
this is where you refine your brand or you refine your business, right? It's that refining part. And we talk about this a lot with what do you do? What does refining mean? So first off, one of the things that you would work on is you would determine what you're known for, right?
Yeah.
What's your business known for?
Right. This is getting the clarity piece and dialing into it, because it's like, okay, now that I've been selling, let me catch my breath to be the boss that I am and really think about, I'm working on my business. Okay, well, working on my business, I know I have something here. What am I known for? Why are people buying?
Right. Right. What can I do more of? And what can I do less of? We talk about that when we talk about Yearly Co. When we coached her of her bangles, and she was growing. She was a 6-figure business and she was growing, and she was making earrings and necklaces and the bangles and all the things. And when we coached her, it was like, well, what's your best sellers? What's selling? What's not selling? What's a pain in the booty to make?
Right.
And she dropped stuff and she kept other things and she went deeper into them. And she realized she was known for, her bangles. And that's what catapulted her forward.
Yes, definitely. I think that, you hear us talk about bestseller because bestseller helps us alleviate a little bit of this problem that you're thinking about in your head. Like, what are you known for? How are you going to stand out in a crowded market? So it's that you're really tuning into that market fit that, okay, why are people buying from me? And then the piece that's missing from that we don't actually teach you in bestsellers and all that
And multi-stream machine.
and multi-stream machine is really cueing into your customer, like that magnetizing the right customer.
Yeah.
And who that ideal customer really is. It's like we tell you, there's this ideal customer, but who are the people that you're going to repel to?
Yeah. So I think a lot of you started your businesses and you had a rough idea of what you wanted to sell and who you were selling it to, and you priced it how you priced it, and you've been selling well. But now this whole refining of your brand, okay, is what we're talking about. We want you to determine what you're known for and go lean harder into that you want to figure out how you're going to stand out in a crowded market. I know we always talk about candle makers, but again, why your candle and not someone else's candle? Why your necklace and not someone else's? Why your quilt and not someone else's?
Yeah.
Why your stationery?
Because there is a customer out there for everybody.
Right.
And then who is your customer? So that's kind of this first part of like, let's refine and repeat the things that are working and really get you to that part.
Yeah, because I think when you gain clarity around your ideal customer, you gain clarity of your marketing and your messaging and how you're selling and your price point and all the things that a lot of you feel stuck on. It just gets so much clearer. And you repeat this over and over.
Yeah.
You repeat this on your way to 100K. You repeat this on your way to 200K. You repeat it on your way to $1 million, right? Because things change and shift as a small business.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, like when you're refining though, they did get to a certain point. So their pricing must be pretty good. Their customer must be pretty good.
Yeah.
They're, what they're known for, they're on to something. It's just getting to the core of that.
And I think the business owner gets more clarity.
Yeah, for sure.
And confidence around what they're doing. So then the next phase that we really believe, that's going to accelerate your business forward is to scale your sales.
Yeah. So now you figured, okay, I refined, I'm like a laser sharp, business owner now. I've refined my brand and what I'm doing and what I stand for. Then now we want you to scale your sales because now you're onto something. How can you make it go even faster?
Right. And further.
Yeah.
Without burnout, with more confidence, without that overwhelm, right? Because that idea of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, well, you're at some point here on this journey, you're knowing what sticks.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what's working, what's not working. So in this phase, we really want to first help you identify your best opportunities.
Yeah. So I think this part is like, okay, what is working and not working? But also like, do you want to go wholesale? I know that people don't like me to use too crazy of like, oh, you're going to make my brain melt.
You're going to pull your MBA.
Yeah. So, but it is a little bit of business model. Like, are you going to direct to customer? Are your skill, like, where are you the best at? Right now, though,
right? And we've done this with we did this in our masterminders, and we know that this is applicable to people under $100,000, $100,000 to $250,000. When we identify your opportunities, it's like what's working right now in your business. So here's an example.
How are you making money?
Yeah. So someone might be like, 90% of my sales come from Etsy, and 10% of my sales come direct to consumer, like through my website. Great. Do you love having 90% come off of Etsy? Well, no, I'd like to, I'd really like to get more sales direct to consumer and not be completely reliant on Etsy. Great. Well, let's look at those opportunities. Let's look at how we can really get the direct to consumer sales more. Should we try and move it to 20%, 25%? Can we execute that in the next 5 months? Is it going to take a year? Like, how long will it take to start to shift that percentage where we never turn off your main faucet of revenue, but we start to look at your opportunities and where you can grow. So I think that's a big boss move that you'll make. The next thing I think under scale your sales is what everybody does want is increasing their revenue.
Yeah, I think there's little tweaks that you could do, but now that you know where you want to focus and where your best opportunities are, you want to know, okay, how am I going to scale? I'm kind of like optimizing my way through it, So I think that this is where it's like, okay, I already did really well here. Now that I refined it, imagine what I could do,
Yeah. And when we say increase your revenue, it's can you be more profitable, right? Can you end up with more money in your pocket at the end of the day? Can you, let's say you want to do direct to consumer. Well, let's increase your revenue on direct to consumer. But at this point, there's more finessing, right? Like a lot of our multi-stream machine students have done so well like adding other revenue streams, right? They're adding them on. And when they start to do that and they start to see their businesses take off, then it's like, okay, now what? What do I do? How do I keep kind of scaling this without burning myself out?
Yeah.
Right. Without feeling overwhelmed. So we want to increase your revenue, but we also want to lower your overwhelm.
Yeah.
And then I think the last part in this phase is creating a selling cycle.
Yeah. So selling cycle is something that if you take the bit that I said about refining your brand, this is the repeatable part.
Yeah.
So like when you think about selling cycle, it's like, okay, this is a cycle of when and where and how I'm going to make that money. And then I'm going to put that on repeat because it's a cycle of seasonality, usually with brands. This is my bestseller in this month. This is my bestseller in this month. This is what I'm going to be talking about in this month. This is maybe my ideal customer in this month. So it's really dialing into like what your selling cycle is. So you're like, oh, I can forecast, like this is, I'm going to forecast how much candle jars I'm going to be making for this particular season because I know this, and this. And then you have an idea of what cycle you are on that helps you be a really, have the capacity to scale.
Yeah. Yes. Because we can all want more sales.
Yeah.
But you can't handle more sales if your business is going to break.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you don't have some sort of selling cycle where you understand this is when I'm selling this product. This is when buyers are wanting to buy it.
You're being proactive about it, right?
You're having a plan and a strategy versus just kind of making and selling and being reactive. That's when burnout happens. That's when overwhelm happens.
Yeah, it's the catch up, trying to play catch up.
Yeah, and guessing, right?
Yeah.
Just guessing. Hey friends, are you unsure of what to say on social media or what to even send in your weekly emails? Well, what if creating content could be easy? Would you be looking for a shortcut to creating consistent content? Yes, consistent content, because consistency is key. Well, let me tell you, you are not alone when you feel like you're struggling on what to post or what to write in emails. And we know that you have that product part of your business down. But as you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know that to get more people to your products, to buy your products, you need to create great content. Oh, I know. I keep saying content, and that's the dreaded C word. And we can't tell you how many product bosses tell us that they want to create great content for their audience and their customers, but they don't know what to say, or they are so busy they can't find the time, or they really, really, really don't want to be the face of their brand. Well, no worries, because that's exactly why we created a year of content. It is your shortcut to creating consistent content that resonates with your audience and brings more loyal customers who can't wait to buy your products. If you want to see how easy this is and how easy it is to create content for your audience and your customers, head to www.ayearofcontent.com. So I think in this part too, it's really getting clear on selling cycles and getting clear on that. So then the next phase is stabilizing your business.
Yeah, this is, the counterpart to what we are just talking about. You have to scale, but you also have to stabilize.
Right.
So stabilizing your business means that, okay, now that you're refined what you're going to do, you've tested it by scaling it and like, woohoo, now it's, we've made it into a rocket ship, but now we got to go back and circle back to, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I stabilize my business because as I'm growing, it's just like how when you're like on a really fast racetrack and your crew puts on new tires because you don't want to be operating with your wheels coming off.
Right.
And
I think, and we've seen so many businesses fail. I mean, we'll talk about
Shark Crew. That's
the pit crew. Yeah. Again, whenever we do car references, but we talk about Shark Tank, for example, and there's a lot of businesses that you'll see get funded on Shark Tank.
Because the influx of visibility.
Right? So they've scaled their sales.
Yeah.
They're getting a ton of sales. They've got a ton of visibility, all the things that I know a lot of you at home are wishing that you had. But what happens? They haven't stabilized their business, so the business breaks internally.
You'd be shocked at the amount of Shark Tank businesses that fail.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't because they didn't get the amount of sales or the eyes or the visibility. It was because when they were doing that, they did not have the back end in order.
Yeah, they didn't have the infrastructure. They didn't know how to have that stabilization. And we work on this a lot with our students is
stabilize. They didn't have the right systems.
Yeah, we go stabilize and then scale, stabilize and scale. So every time you have massive growth, you have to come back to your systems to
Mhm.
stabilize.
Yeah.
So in this phase, one of the big things is that we want to help you improve your systems. So while we do teach about systems in multi-stream machine, systems start to expand even greater when you're trying to think about your infrastructure.
Yeah, there's systems for everything, right? Like even when you think about, I know that when we think about systems, you're thinking about the back end, but really it's foundational stuff, right? You have systems even with your team. You have systems with your sales and your marketing, and all of it becomes like, do you have a system for influencers, or do you have a system for, whatever it ends up being, like, even if it's to increase money and make money, it feels more like you have a clearer process to it.
Yeah. You get more control over your business, right?
Yeah.
When you improve your systems, it feels like you have more control. The business isn't running like, without you, or kind of like feeling like it's flailing. Like you start to figure out, do I have standard answers to questions I get asked all the time? If I'm hiring a team member, is there something that they're following? If I want to hire somebody, what do I do? You're really starting to, how am I paying for something? What else are systems that people have gone through?
I think, what policies you need to have in place, like how often are you shipping, things like that as you start operating at a kind of like, because you've scaled your sales now
at this higher level.
Yeah. You have to figure out, okay, now my capacity is different. My business is different. My team's needing to do more. My role is even expanded. What does that all look like? Well, if certain things are repeatable or can be put into process, then it's like, okay, I can continue with the scaling because I'm stabilizing.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you don't have anything, everybody's kind of like winging it, being reactive. That's the really hard part.
And I think that goes into the other part in this phase, which is managing your schedule.
Yeah.
So we see at this level of business, you're starting to double your revenue, right? You're starting to grow. You're getting to that 100K mark. You're going to $250,000. And now it's like, oof, I'm busy. I'm busy, and I'm busier than I had to be. Because listen, we have never said you're going to sit back passively and make money. We are not like, oh, this isn't a passive business income. This is, you guys are working. You're building product, you're manufacturing, you're making, you're selling, you're doing all the things. But when you start to get to this level, what's cool is that you have a schedule, and you've also are starting to earn back your time. But how do you get your time back? And how do you have a schedule that deals with massive overwhelm, right? Like we have someone right now that we're working with that he has a ton of production, and he feels like he's drowning in production, and he's drowning in fulfillment, and he doesn't have time to work on his marketing or, selling more. And so the idea here is what's happening in your schedule.
Yeah. I think that before we realize it, we end up having 4 jobs, right?
Maybe 75.
Yeah, 75 jobs. But the thing is, your main job, what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be the boss of your business.
Right.
So in this, as you're doubling, just imagine how further along you are. You actually have to be working on your business, right? The strategy versus in it. But a lot of us, we're so caught up in it, a lot like the mastermind that you were talking about, that he's accidentally given himself a ton of jobs because he's also working in his business, on his business, around his business, all these different things. If he's the production, then who's the boss of the business?
Right.
And
I think that's where he feels stuck.
Yeah.
And so in this phase 2, we want to help you get control of your operations.
Yeah.
So how do you start to feel more in control? So instead of being run over by your business and crushed and feel like you're drowning and feeling like you're this bottleneck.
Which we do sometimes feel like, but there's an end to it.
Right.
That's what we want.
There might be a busy season that you have to go through, but we don't want it to be all seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want you to feel discouraged and feel like quitting.
Yeah. So do you have operations, right? Do you have standard operating procedures? Do you have, like Mina was saying earlier, do you have ways that people can quickly answer questions? Like if you get the same sort of return question, do you have policies?
Policies, canned responses,
production schedules. Like, do you all know, like when you're going into production, how long it takes to order certain raw goods or order manufacturing, when you're going to get it, when you're going to ship it, right? So that's an idea too in operations, that you really start to create this infrastructure that starts to make you feel like, and you truly are becoming, a business that's operating like a business. a
So
business.
while we were talking about in that phase that I said, you're scaling your sales and you have your selling cycle, so you know what you're doing when you're scaling, you're taking off. This is the what are you doing when it comes to operations.
Right.
You're stabilizing.
Right. So, another one of our students, she had to turn down like 40 different retailers because she couldn't figure out when her production schedule was going or when people were going to be making the stuff to send, right? So we never want you all to have to turn something down when you have the possibility. But if you have stabilization in your business, if you have better systems and you have a schedule and you have control of your operations, then you'll be able to take those opportunities that come your way and you can continue to scale. But this is exactly what I said. You can't scale without stabilizing.
Yeah.
And when you scale again, you need to stabilize again. So this is definitely a cycle. So the last phase in this acceleration of where your business is now to your first 100K or to 200K is that we want you to elevate your marketing, right? This is when we're all working. We all always want to get better on social media or have some sort of visibility presence. But this is when we're actually going to elevate your marketing.
Yeah, I think that all of us start in a certain spot where we're like, okay, this is what my marketing and my branding and my presence and my voice, it starts here, right? Done is better than perfect. But you also have to realize that when you get to a certain level, you have to up-level yourself for your customer's sake.
Yeah. And have an understanding about marketing, right? Why you and not your competitor, right? What's your special sauce? What's the word we were using? In marketing when you're comparing to other people or blanking on the word comparison. No, but why your brand, right? And so when you're posting or you're sending an email or you're doing whatever you want to do to stand out in a crowded market, how are you going to up-level your content and stand out from the rest?
Yeah. And I think that gets you to a certain point because even when you think about it, you're refining it, but you still have to it's positioning.
Positioning is the word. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Brand positioning. You
okay.
got it. Ding, ding.
Okay. Yeah. It's positioning with content that you're already doing, but you want to make sure that it's of a higher caliber, I guess.
Yes. And this is where you're thinking about other places to present your content, right? Are you sending text messages? Are you in email? What does your web presence look like? If someone were to say, I love that brand, right? A lot of times people will say they love the brand, but it's more than just your product. So this is where your up-leveling of your marketing is more than just the products you're making.
Yeah.
Now, another thing in this phase is, and I think this is in all phases, is everybody wants more traffic, right?
Yeah.
We need to acquire more customers. And we want to drive more customers or drive more traffic to wherever we're selling.
Yeah. A lot of times we think of traffic as visibility or, it could be physical people into our stores or when you're thinking about foot traffic, right?
Right.
And then, or there's online traffic where you're getting people to your website. But all in all, what it means is that you're getting new customers.
Right. And customers are aware that your brand exists.
Yeah.
Right. And they're coming and they're referring you and this is a little bit deeper than we teach some of this in multi-stream machine, but this is sort of that bigger growth stage, right? You've all started to see what's working for you. Now, how do we keep the traffic coming?
Yeah.
Right. And then the last part in this phase of elevating your marketing is something that so many people ask us for all the time and they need help around is how to develop a launch plan.
Yeah.
So it's not just I'm launching a new business, but it's the idea of when you remember, we talked about selling cycles and we talked about your production cycles. But then the other ideas is how are you creating a runway? Because the longer the runway, the bigger you can take off, a bigger plane can take off, right? Again, aerodynamics and car racing is really on par with what we know about.
Yeah.
But we want you to create this really long runway that has warm audience, that has people waiting to buy what you have to sell, and that you can create this launch plan against it. So let's say you're coming out with your new spring collection or your summer collection or a new scent or a new flavor, right? How are you getting people excited about it? And how are you launching it that then when you do have it ready to buy, people are ready to sell, people are there waiting to buy.
Yeah, this is definitely the marketing plan piece, right? So it's you're launching, but it's a marketing launch each time, you know? So it's so we already talked about selling cycle, which was scale your sales. And that's when you're going to be making those sales and, what that looks like, like I said, it's in certain seasons. And then but what are you going to sell? What are you going to be making to sell or whatever, even if it's manufacturing? Well, that's the production calendar.
Mm-hmm.
But this part is, how are you going to make the connection piece, like the marketing, the how you represent yourself, how you hype up your launch, how you, market in order for them to get the sale. So this is the thing that connects, you do marketing to get sales, right?
Right. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Without marketing, without creating awareness, without driving traffic, without acquiring new customers and getting other customers to come back and buy from you, you're dead in the water, right? Like you need to keep growing the customer base and getting them to buy again to buy from you so that you could make sales and increase your revenue, right? So you constantly are working on this growth, but does it need to feel like you're stuck like on a wheel and spinning out and not knowing what you're doing? No. There's clarity around this. And I think what we really want you all to do is feel like you have clarity, feel like you have confidence in this, and that you start creating structure, which is why we've really created this fast track formula for businesses like yours that want to really accelerate to that next level.
Yeah, right. And I just wanted to round that last part out with, that we talked about marketing, but it's a marketing launch plan because it's kind of like now that you know that you have something, you're growing, 2xing your business every year, let's say. And then, now you're like, oh, okay, I know how I'm going to sell. I know my best opportunities. And then you know that you need the back end to, maintain and sustain your business and stabilize. But then there's also this marketing piece, the launching. You have to continually keep selling and creating this plan to know like, okay, this is how I'm going to launch in order to get my customers to buy my product, essentially.
Right.
Know, like, and trust me.
Right. And keep growing, right? Keep growing my business and keep it going. And this is, these 4 phases are essential in this growth level, right? We've talked about our proven path to $1 million business. And this is what we see a lot happen when you're in that growth stage. So we're really excited to support all of you in whatever level that you're at, and also here in that growth stage and through these 4 phases. So we have some really exciting news to bring to all of you.
Super exciting after that whole massive episode you've just listened to.
So Mina and I got together in person because one of the biggest things we really wanted to think about and talk about was we've had so many people request more support, right? They've requested more ways of working with us and within our program.
Within this stage.
Yeah, within this stage. And so we've seen this. We've seen students in multi-stream machine. We've seen students that, already have businesses. Just so many different product bosses out there that are looking for support. So we're really excited to announce that we are actually bringing you a 5-month group coaching program called the Product Boss Biz Accelerator, and it's kicking off on May 1st.
We don't want to spill too many details, probably because, we have a lot to iron out, but also because we want to make sure that you save your spot with us, because we've had so many requests of people that are at the stage that are 2xing, 4xing, 5xing, 10xing. They're just in this growth level like that we were talking about. And we wanted to make sure that we took everything that we knew, put it together in a way that we could teach you phase by phase by phase. And this is what we're calling the fast track formula that you just heard about, which we're honored to be presenting it to you.
So you'll hear more details about this program that's coming out really soon. But when you listen to this, if you want to know more, if you want to be first on the wait list to grab a spot into this group coaching program.
For more info too.
Head to theproductboss.com/fast track. So theproductboss.com/fast track, and you can put your name on the waiting list, and then we will send you information when we have the page up to share all of the amazing details, and so that you can learn more and grab your spot. So we're really excited if you're on this phase, and send us a DM. Let us know you heard this, and let us know, if this resonates with you. We got a message today from someone on Instagram that said, I just need more support. She's like, I need my hand held, and I also need a little push and shove every so often, right? So we totally understand that so many of you out there are looking for more guidance, looking for your handheld, looking for community, looking for, more education And then also looking for those nudges that you need to take yourself to the next level.
Yeah, you're looking for the path, right? And the mentorship a lot of times.
Yeah. So we're building that for you. So make sure to head to theproductboss.com/fast track. You heard it here first. And we're so excited to see all of your names come in.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. See you on there.
Thank you for being here and listening all the way through the Product Boss podcast. If you love our show and it has helped you in any way in your business, would you mind doing 2 things for us? Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode and leave us a review. Reviews help other product entrepreneurs know that this is the place to be to grow their businesses and realize that they're not alone. And we know that you all know that a 5-star and honest review helps you sell more products to more people. So you know that your reviews help us reach more listeners around the world. Remember, what we give is what we receive, and we are all about helping each other in the Product Boss community. We are all in this together. We would be so appreciative of you if you could take the time right now to subscribe, leave a review, and even share this episode on social or someone you know so we can impact more lives. And remember, subscribing means that you will get notified each time we release a new episode so you never miss a thing. You have helped us grow and climb into the top 10 of all marketing podcasts, and together we can keep climbing. Thank you, friends. And remember, there is room at the top for all of us. This episode is brought to you by the Shop 1 in 5 Pledge and Small Business Shopping Directory. It's a commitment to make 1 in 5 of your purchases from a small business online or offline. So head to shop1in5.com to take the pledge. And friend, while you are there, check out and shop from hundreds of small businesses in the Small Business Shopping Directory. It's the go-to directory to discover, support, and shop small businesses all in one place. Head to shop1in5.com.